Oh dear.
Hello.
I'm excited again.
Very excited.
Nolan, are you excited?
Oh gosh, yes. Is he gonna throw a pumpkin bomb at us?
No.
Wow, I appreciate the commitment, Morgan.
I shouldn't have dived. I'm injured.
Did you really hurt yourself?
This is live content. This is appropriate. Hello, everyone.
You actually do, now that I think about it, look like Tobey Maguire now. With the beard and everything.
Tobey Maguire's in his mid-40s, right?
But you dress like a youth pastor.
I mean...
Well, this is...
entirely wrong.
And Janine's probably like a cool skateboarder, like Andrew Garfield.
Yeah. Got the graphic tee and everything.
I'm not going to speak. We're supposed to be talking about Spider-Man. I was also trying to do the live now tweets and posts and things, but
that never happens.
I got distracted by
diving,
Nolan throwing, pretending to be the Green Goblin.
If you didn't want chaos, why did you bring me on this?
I mean, it's a fair question. It's all in the chat. You're always wonderful.
This will have to count as a Goblin outfit. It's the best I could do.
Please? I mean, you've got green hair by the looks of it.
It's blue.
Well, I can't. The lighting's off. Anyway, we're supposed to be talking about Spider-Man No Way Home, Janine, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
We are totally full spoilering Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yes. So if you have not seen the movie,
yes, I mean it's in the title. It's blatantly obvious if you're watching this video that we are talking full spoilers. I do not want to see any nonsense. Why did you spoil the movie? Frankly, you're an idiot if you start commenting that kind of stuff without looking at what you're watching.
Exactly.
But it is, as of now, the second biggest domestic opening in US movie history.
Yeah, but isn't it already like close to like 200 million or something crazy like that?
Which is absurd. It beat Avengers Infinity War for a weekend opening, which is insane. Nolan, stop using your secondary YouTube account.
To say the things that Morgan doesn't want you to say.
Things, I don't care for that at all.
Go check out my live comedy page while you're at it.
Headphone has gone off, so I'm just going to put the other one in.
Well, hello, Kimber.
Hi,
Michael. Thanks for popping in, Steve. And Vance. Hello.
Vance.
Vanko.
Is he the villain from Iron Man 2?
It's going very wrong with my...
Yes.
Sorry, something's going very wrong with my...
It'll be that pumpkin bomb I threw at you.
Yeah, you're just screwing up his whole system.
Apologies. Vanko in the chat says, I had unreasonably high expectations and it still managed to surpass them. I feel like that's a fair thing to say, really, about this movie. I mean, people were expecting the world from this movie, and goddammit, it gave them it.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to a friend, and they were telling me, like, they still feel like this movie is a fever dream, like, that something like this even exists, that they were able to kind of pull this off is just a crazy thing to think about. Because I don't think anything like this has ever been done to this kind of magnitude. So it's just crazy to even think about a movie like this existing.
Yeah, I mean, look, I suppose in a way it was done in Into the Spider-Verse. In a way.
Yeah.
But that's obviously an animated movie and far easier to do this sort of craziness with characters.
Yeah.
In that realm than it is in live action doing what this movie did.
Yeah, and even kind of
being so vague because we're talking.
I know, but even like the whole kind of coming together of Sony and Marvel, and how everyone kind of was worried how that was going to play out and how tricky that whole thing was. And the fact that, everyone's kind of reservations about how that was going to work kind of culminating to something like this is just insane how it just kind of worked out so well.
Yeah. I mean, Nolan, you're a huge Spider-Man fan, obviously. I would say you. I think we would have all, at one point or another in the movie, got somewhat emotional, but I feel like none of the three of us got as emotional as maybe you did, Nolan. So, you want to take us through some of your more notable viewing moments from this?
Okay, so obviously everyone knows the big sort of thing that makes everyone happy about this movie. It's in our fucking names, for God's sake. But I want to mention a little thing that I was looking forward to personally, and they delivered so well on it. So, unlike every other Spider-Man fan in the world, my favorite Spider-Man villain's this guy.
Electro, okay.
Yeah, because I've always loved the idea of a guy who has no power suddenly thrust with like all the power in the world, and what does that do to you mentally? And in 2012, when Jamie Foxx was cast as Electro, he was just coming off as Django Unchained, and I thought, cool, we're gonna have a great actor being like Django with electric superpowers. Then Amazing Spider-Man 2 happened.
Yeah,
and like his performance is still like decent from what he was given, but I love that in this movie they just gave Jamie Foxx the go ahead to be the cool, punky, sort of cocky Electro that I really like.
And it makes sense. He's like acting that way because he's never had that before. So he's getting this confident, like Jamie Foxx style swagger. So they still kind of reference him being a dork, and they make it so that change doesn't feel so jarring. Like he's kind of imbued with all this power now, so he feels very kind of badass. And I think that would happen to anyone, so it felt like it made sense.
Yeah, I love that they have a starfish mask too.
Oh yeah, when he like has his big blast, like they make the sparks kind of come out in that shape. Yeah, I liked how they did that.
Just temporarily, but like it was a nice inclusion that for Electro, actually, just temporarily having a bit of comic accurate costuming, as it were. I did like the interaction he had with the lizard in the little chamber underneath Doctor Strange's.
Yeah, like last time I saw you had a comb over and glasses.
I mean, who like thought that dressing Jamie Foxx up as a dork would convince anybody?
Right.
Jamie Foxx is the least dorky guy in the world.
Yeah, they definitely tried to do a Riddler kind of thing with him, and I was not really a fan of that. But
I agree with Tom in the chat. When I was a kid, I used to get Electro and Shocker mixed up. But I just figure now Shocker is vibrational air, not electricity. But the way they have Shocker in Homecoming, you couldn't tell the difference because that looked like electric blasts.
Yeah.
Doesn't Shocker actually need mechanical things, though?
Yeah, because in the comics, he fires compressed air from the gauntlet, so it's like a shockwave, and if he keeps it on himself, that would obviously shatter his arm, whereas Electro, he's just like pure energy.
Yeah.
Anyway, we have a whole bunch of stuff, obviously, to get into. I've put some little, or we've tried to put some little categories together to keep some realm of format, I suppose, about this discussion. Who knows how long it will go on for. Hello, everybody who has joined the chat. I see Tom and Kimber and Delisha in there as well.
Hello, guys.
As well as a couple of other people by the looks of it, which is
I know I look
nice.
different, guys. Don't be alarmed.
Please say hello if you are here. But I don't know. What do you want to start off with? I mean, there's actually, just to get it out the way, I'm going to start off with one thing, given the fact that Nolan's just gone on a little bit of a loving point about Electro. I'm going to start off. This is just really for me with this. Now, if there was one thing I didn't like about this movie, it was the comic accurate costume of Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin. Get the man out of that hoodie and get his metal suit back on.
He was not a fan of the hobo hoodie. I think a lot of people were, just because it was very comic accurate.
Of course,
plus the whole sense of like, everyone was like, why are you giving him this crazy mask in the first Spider-Man movie? Because his face looks like a goblin. Like, he doesn't need that mask. Also, like, this is like a big tech, like, military grade suit. Why would you make the helmet look like that for like a military grade thing that other people were going to wear? So that always seemed like a weird thing. So I think this was kind of their way of like hearing all of those, complaints over the years.
And I understand that. My point is, I really like the metal goblin costume. It terrified me and I loved it in equal measure. Spider-Man 2002 was, I believe, the first superhero movie I ever watched. Think about how old I am. Think about when that came out. That makes sense to people.
Yeah, you would have been 50 years old, obviously.
But I adore that suit. I adore that movie, and I adore Willem Dafoe as that. Now, while in this movie, Willem Dafoe has not forgotten how to play Goblin in 20 years, clearly, at all. He's wonderful. There was just something that wasn't the same. And it shouldn't have been the same, because it's a different movie. It's a different Goblin, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Even though it's the same one from that same Raimi universe that pops in. It's a different Goblin. It's a different type of movie. And they did ultimately give him, I know people like the purple hood and the general more muted green and purple about Green Goblin. And Willem Dafoe does look like a goblin anyway. But they had to smash up the metal suit. We got one little glimpse in that alleyway of proper Norman Goblin, back and forth, split personality, Goblin helmet on the side of that dumpster. And then he threw a rock at it and smashed it up.
No more.
And I went, no.
Oh.
I was looking so forward to the full static face speaking, kind of weirdly licking his metal teeth through the thing with his tongue like he does in Spider-Man. So I was sad about that. So I just wanted to bring that up. That was just my little thing.
Oh, okay.
Although I obviously love Green Goblin.
I don't necessarily mind that. It gives Willem Dafoe more facial expressions to work with.
Yeah, and he's very good at the facial expressions. I think you've just seen those memes about how good his butt looks in that outfit, and that's kind of why you want to keep it.
If there's one thing I don't focus on when it comes to Willem Dafoe, it's the quality of his butt, shall we call it. I'm not focused on that, Janine. I'm focused on the terror that costume brought me as a child, and I wanted to see that again.
Fair enough.
And I temporarily, very shortly, got to see that again before it was smashed to pieces. Who's going to find that? I want someone to find that.
Have you seen the original Goblin mask that they were going to use for Sam Raimi's Spider-Man?
Yes.
Yeah, that thing's terrifying.
Yeah, I think like they could have gotten a decent balance, like just give him like a new Goblin mask that shows off more of his facial expressions, rather than just having it just be Willem Dafoe in goggles.
I mean, I don't mind it either, though. I don't mind it either, because it's still Willem Dafoe. He's still playing Norman Osborn Green Goblin, which is something we haven't seen in 20 years, and ultimately that's what this movie was trying to do, wasn't it? It was trying to show us things that we saw 20 and 10 years ago that we liked, and we do them either again or do them better in some cases, as in the case of Electro, as also possibly in the case of the Sandy Dude.
Sandman.
You mean Sandman?
No, I'm going to refer to him as the Sandy Dude.
Yeah, you don't want to confuse him with the Neil Gaiman character of the same name.
Probably not. No, that's a guy who gets weird in people's dreams.
Mr. Sandman. He's a Mr.
Sandman from the song.
Yeah.
Mr. Sandman.
Not Enter Sandman, not Mr. Sandman. He's just Sandman.
Is it not?
It's a shame it was only 5 villains though, because like,
yeah, like you were so close to the Sinister Six. Like I expected, like maybe Mysterio to pop back in or something, but
I would have taken Vulture.
Yeah, I mean, he's weirdly in the Morbius universe right now doing things. I don't know.
Or even Shocker, because Shocker didn't do anything in Homecoming.
No, he didn't. He got replaced to do nothing.
I remember we were talking about this, Janine, of who this 6th member of the Sinister Six was supposed to be, but at no point in this movie did they ever mention any desire to do any Sinister Six thing. This was just clearly fans of Spider-Man going, "Oh, there might be enough villains to do it."
But should have been Mr. Ditkovich.
or the rent guy.
I saw a lot of memes about that.
I mean, they missed an opportunity at the very end to have him cameo when Peter gets his own apartment.
I know. I thought that might be him.
I actually did think he would show up there, to be honest.
Yeah.
With you. Galaxy Geeks channel says the reason they didn't do 6 is due to the fact that they want a Sinister Six in the future. I mean, perhaps, but also like surely this was the best time to do full 6
to like introduce that and then
I mean, who could they have in it now that they've used most of the great Spider-Man villains?
I know. Well, I mean, when the multiverse is kind of cracking open, you could see Scorpion and Rhino and Kraven the Hunter kind of looming on the edge.
I would have taken Paul Giamatti's Rhino in this movie.
No, we don't want
to have a laugh.
But it looked more like a comic version of the Rhino, like the man in like a actual like Rhino. Okay.
I mean, Kimber makes a good point there. Kimber says Venom was the 6th. Now, Venom was technically in the movie.
Technically, yes.
But he was just kind of hanging out, trying to figure out what the hell was going on for
and leaving his Venom snot behind for future.
Tom is going to hate me for this, but I've never liked the idea of Venom as part of the Sinister Six. He's his own character. Let him deal with the symbiote shit. Leave the Sinister Six to the classic Spidey villains.
Okay.
I thought Venom was a classic Spidey. I'm not a big...
He's a 90s Spidey villain, not a classic Spidey villain.
So this is like Bane to Batman.
Pretty much.
Right. Fair enough. Yeah, though, I don't know. I don't know. You're the Spider-Man expert here, Nolan, aren't you, really, on this thing? But the weird one says, thoughts on them taking Venom back to his universe. We're going to get a whole load of questions popping in. People are very excited about this movie, obviously. I haven't seen either of the Venom movies.
I mean, they're fun trash, pretty much.
So I don't really mind. I would have... Oh, Janine's put a nice little... Well done, Janine. Janine's put a nice little headline. I don't really care that they took Venom back to the... I mean, I would have... Knowing now after that mid-credits scene that Venom was in the movie, I would have quite actually liked to see him actually be properly in the movie and it actually have... You know, it almost forced me to watch the Venom movies because they would technically be part of this story now. I would have liked that. I don't feel like I have to do that still, and that's a little bit, I suppose, disappointing. But it's not really disappointing. It's almost a missed opportunity just for me because I'm not sure anybody else thinks like that. But so I don't really mind. But we did, like you said, Janine, get the little glob of black goo, as it's referred to,
left behind, and like it has that hive mind that you missed them talking about because you didn't watch Venom, and the last kind of thing that it was heard or told was that we need to go to New York and find Spider-Man. So that's kind of probably in that symbiote's kind of DNA to go do that. So potentially.
But do you think that would mean then in a future Spider-Man movie that is directly in the MCU, you know, a future Tom Holland movie that apparently we're getting another 3 of in development?
Mm-hmm.
that we're getting a MCU version of Venom, as well as obviously Sony's Tom Hardy version.
They have the perfect
They would
character
have
already
to.
set up for it. Like, so in the comics, Matt Gargan becomes Venom, and he's already got a reason to want to kill Spider-Man in this universe.
Am I forgetting who that is?
The guy at the end of Homecoming who wanted to know who Spider-Man's identity was, the Far Cry 3 guy.
The dude in the prison.
That's Scorpion, though. He's Scorpion, yeah.
Yeah, but he becomes Venom. Scorpion does become Venom in the comics, so they could do that.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Also, this isn't about the villains, but if they don't introduce Miles Morales in the next movie, it's a big missed opportunity.
Yeah, that was definitely a huge tease there. So I would love that. And he's been mentioned. He was mentioned in Homecoming. We saw his Uncle Aaron, the Prowler. So
remember when Donald Glover was in the MCU?
Like, sorry, Miles, I'm not gonna make it.
Hell, make the Prowler and the Scorpion the villains of the fourth one. Bring in Miles. That would be fun.
Yeah.
I don't know. Look, I don't know much about
the comic
Spider-Man villains that aren't in the movies. I honestly don't. This is not my specialist realm. Admittedly, that's why Nolan's here.
Yes.
And
it's the
Janine,
only reason I'm
as
here.
well. It is. No, it's not.
Definitely not. Not the only reason.
I mean, there was another great villain that did return.
There certainly was.
He doesn't look like this, sadly. I mean, I would have liked to have seen the green and orange jumpsuit, but
yeah, I think they attempted the mushroom cut a little bit in Spider-Man 2, but it's left behind for more curlier do in this movie.
I mean, Tom makes a good point. But we're talking about the villains right now, as you can see by the look. We will get on to probably my most exciting part of the movie, admittedly being me, in a little bit.
Yes, Doc Ock.
Dr. Octopus. Doctor. Don't know why I said it like that.
You sound like my grandmother reading comics.
Who is this? Dr. Octopus.
Like Aunt May, like, oh, here's some water. Do you want salt water because you're an octopus? I'm trying to make a little joke with him. Which I guess is maybe a callback to when they got married, dated in the comics.
My uncle who lives in England knows
know.
Alfred Molina, and after this movie, I'm going to try and get him to let me meet him.
What?
Yeah, he's worked with Alfred Molina like on some theater stuff, and I'm going to like bribe him to let me meet him.
Okay.
I mean, I think you would die in a ball of excitement.
Which there were a lot of British people in this movie.
I would probably send him my video essay I did about Doc Ock when Homecoming came out.
I really like Doc Ock in this movie. I really like Doc Ock anyway from Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
He's the best comic book villain on film for me, easily. In Spider-Man 2.
He works really well in this one, though, as the villain who actually wants to change.
Yeah.
He just seems
he's very grouchy. He's just very grouchy. The whole time.
Very crotchety.
Yeah.
I'm into that, obviously.
Yes.
I love his little interactions with Norman, because we obviously never got that.
No,
because Norman.
But obviously they would know, and they would know each other. They would be colleagues in their time, before Norman died.
I like seeing those two iconic Spider-Man movie villains meet.
But even Sandman kind of being the one to tell them, like, I know what happened to you.
Yeah. I mean, Sandman as far as a Spider-Man movie villain goes, less seminal than
if Sam Raimi had got to do what he wanted with Sandman and not force Venom into it, Sandman would be up there with Doc Ock and Goblin easily.
But he had some really good moments here.
Sandman did.
Yeah.
Sandman did, yeah.
Like, I liked his whole kind of little back and forth with Electro about you got to watch where you fall, like them kind of recounting their accident stories.
I wondered, is that like a sort of in-universe reference to James Cameron's Spider-Man script? Because Sandman and Electro were going to be the villains in that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Perhaps,
maybe,
because they both come into this movie at the same time, don't they?
Yeah,
but yeah,
he's needed there. He's needed there to tell the two of them what happened to them because they don't know. So I like that Sandman's the one to be like, "Hey, I saw it on the news. Both of you guys die," because otherwise, like they would have had no idea. Because he's the one who didn't die.
I do like that aspect about it.
Yeah,
I really do. But again, Melina's just somebody who hasn't forgotten how to play Doc Ock in 20 years. Or 15, how long? 16 years. How long has it been? 17. I don't know. But that kind of... It gives you hope. I know this happens all the time in movies these days. It seems to, it's essentially a legacy sequel done in a universe, this one, isn't it?
Yeah.
But like in an established different universe, it's taking the legacy sequel to the next level. And some people would say get rid of the legacy sequel anyway. It's silly.
But no, it's wonderful if done right, if done with love and care.
It is. This is, this movie it does that while obviously furthering its own MCU story.
Yeah.
It acts as a continuation to a point of these characters, or at least some characters we saw 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Nearly, which is insane. And it's great that obviously they came back to play the villains again and did them so well and with so much love. I keep reading and hearing about how Willem Dafoe only did it if he could do his own stunts and his own fighting.
Yeah, he wanted to do. He said he wanted to do as many stunts as possible that he could do. Yeah,
Willem Dafoe, a legend.
He is. Yeah, I mean, it's so much dedication from Willem Dafoe there, and someone you might not necessarily think. I mean, obviously he would have had fun doing Green Goblin, but Willem Dafoe has always seemed like, from the outside, to me, someone who would not look down on comic book movies, but but acknowledge that was part of his career, but likes to do weirder little stuff.
Yeah,
but he also clearly loves doing this kind of stuff. I
think he was a big Spider-Man fan growing up. Like, he campaigned to get the role of the Green Goblin.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Maybe I've got that totally wrong then.
I mean, considering the other people they wanted for Goblin, I'm glad he got it.
I mean, even being an Aquaman, like, recently, so I would see him as somebody who doesn't really look down on that type of role.
That's true. I forgot about that. Maybe I'm being too judgmental.
Yes.
Or not judgmental. Maybe I'm just trying to make a point that isn't there.
Kimber brings up a very interesting point. 20 years ago.
That's not an interesting point. Stop saying things.
Morgan was 50 years old when the first Spider-Man movie came out.
As we've already established.
In spirit only.
Now,
I do agree with Tom regarding Lizard. He's just brought that up now.
Tom says he wishes Lizard had a bit more to do in the movie. He should have helped with the science or something if the other villains got such big pieces. I agree with that. I do think the Lizard was somewhat forgotten about, to the point where a couple of times I found myself going, oh yeah, Lizard's here too.
Yeah, he was just kind of there for some little funny, like, comedic relief lines. Other than that, like talking about Electro's makeover, and he's like, I could give you a makeover. Yeah, into a lizard. Yeah.
I mean, could you imagine a lizard Electro hybrid?
And like them just like making fun of his whole plan, how he just wanted to turn everyone into lizards, and kind of talking about how ridiculous that was. So yeah, he was mostly there, I think, for comic relief and just to have an extra villain kind of in there. And so I assume
why not give him his lab coat?
Yeah, And I assume like Reese Ifans was literally just kind of came in and like recorded a couple new lines of dialogue. I think Thomas Hayden Church, he was literally just dialogue stuff too, and they just reused old footage from Spider-Man 3 to like do him turning back, both of them. I think they ended up just using footage and kind of recoloring it from Spider-Man 3 and Amazing Spider-Man. So
it makes sense for Reese Ifans to not be there because like this was made during COVID, so maybe he wouldn't have wanted to travel to a set. But Thomas Hayden Church, it doesn't really make much sense for him not to be physically there.
Yeah, I mean, maybe since he was sand most of the time, and his appearance now was probably so different, like he would have had to like wear a wig or do his haircut or whatever, just to do that transformation scene. For that little bit of time, I think maybe they just felt like, we could do it digitally since he's going to be sand most of the time. Yeah. We just would need him for vocal work, which I thought maybe they at least did like some mocap stuff with him. But I think they literally, just had him record some stuff and then everything else was like old footage.
I mean, like the stars of it are like Electro, Goblin, and Nog.
Yeah.
They certainly did pretty well with Sandman, given the fact that Thomas Hayden Church wasn't actually technically, physically
there. Yeah.
They did really well with Sandman. And yet, I mean, there's only so much you can do with an angry lizard.
Yeah, who's like just out of his mind and just wants everyone to be lizards. Like,
considering they cut his family out of the Amazing Spider-Man, taking away all of Kurt Connor's humanity, what else can you do with him?
Yeah, had they kept that stuff in there with his son, we would have probably gotten more of a sympathetic character, like we got, Doc Ock with his wife Rosie and their whole relationship and their love story and all of that. We got enough of him being a good guy scientist and somebody Peter looked up to that we really care about him. And so by the end, when Peter kind of convinces him to change and all of that, we care, we're invested. But yeah, we didn't even get really enough with Kurt Connors in the Amazing Spider-Man to really even care much about him. So I think that's why it was easy to just kind of relegate him as just a fifth villain on the team. So
yeah, like so I've watched the Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon, and for the first 3 episodes, that's when they do the lizard arc, and that takes a total of 60 minutes. In 60 minutes, you're introduced to Kurt Connor's family. You love him as a person before he turns into the lizard. Then when he is the lizard, you care about the situation. In 60 minutes worth of cartoons. Amazing Spider-Man couldn't do that in 2 fucking hours.
Right? Exactly. They really, and the fact that they cut that out and in lieu of other things, like it just felt really dumb because that's your main villain. So you want us to kind of sympathize with them a little bit. But yeah, the fact that they gave us nothing with him, so they really didn't have anything to give us now in this movie with him was probably the biggest kind of letdown of this whole movie.
I would have swapped Lizard for Vulture.
Because we know him and if you look, there's even a magazine cover with Liz on it, the Vulture's daughter, calling Peter a liar, like when he's swinging around with MJ trying to get away. So like that whole family and what he kind of ended up affecting them is still kind of plays into the story. So yeah, Vulture definitely would have been a better choice.
We're going to see Vulture back at some point.
And I have the stomach watching Jared Leto again to see.
But
Vulture.
I think Lizard was probably the best villain we could pick from the Garfield era because we already have a Goblin and Rhino was ridiculous. So we really didn't have much other choice.
I actually
besides Electro and Lizard.
I actually like the idea. Weirdly enough, I actually like the idea of the Lizard in The Amazing Spider-Man. Yes, it's another kind of scientist gone insane, but it's at least unique in terms of comic book villains, isn't it? Like, you don't get another animal scientist who wants to turn everybody else into the same animal.
Yeah. But then also
power.
But then also I think you have to they're trying to cover every single movie. So if you're gonna have every single movie, you had to have Lizard in there because you had like a villain from each Raimi movie and a villain from each Garfield movie. So
exactly.
If you're covering all the bases, then you kind of had to have him.
I think Tom brings up a lovely segue in the chat at the minute, because our conversation on villains leads quite nicely into our segment entitled All the Emotion.
Oh gosh.
Which is highlighted in the fact that our lead villain here, that is, of course, the Green Menace himself.
The Emerald Elf.
Green. The Emerald Elf. Who isn't green or emerald in this movie, like he was when he was in the metal suit, I might add. At least he's green in the metal suit. He delivers a pretty horrible death scene.
Oh.
I mean, I saw it coming, but it still hurt.
But the fact that she didn't she thought she was fine. Like, it wasn't even like her being tough and acting like knowing what was coming, and that she was pretending to be fine for Peter's sake. Like, she thought she was fine. So that made it even like crazier,
It's the best acting I've seen from Marissa Tomei in this series, because they actually let her do something.
Yeah.
It's the most acting she does, is because she's just kind of there and being funny.
Well, like the whole the whole kind of full circle thing of this whole trilogy is the fact that like we thought we already saw this Peter Parker's origin. We thought it just, we didn't see that part. They just didn't show us this part because we've seen it so many times. But this whole trilogy was the origin of this Spider-Man. Like, this whole trilogy was the origin story, how it ends.
It becomes the longest Spider-Man origin story.
Exactly, because now he is the Spider-Man that we know.
I mean,
I've noticed a lot of Marvel movies do that. A lot of the trilogies, they have them become the comic book character at the end of the third movie.
Yes.
It's true, actually, when you think about it.
The fact that now, like, if you look at this universe, Marissa Tomei is the Uncle Ben of this universe. Like,
we even get when with great power comes great responsibility. For God's sake, I mean, it annoys me a little bit that those exact words aren't used.
Well, that actually, how she says it is how it was actually first said in the comics, I believe. So she actually said it accurately to the first comic book appearance of that line.
Well, I am just making myself out to be an idiot.
But yeah, I liked that. I liked that better than Martin Sheen's long old convoluted version of it. I didn't really like.
I liked Martin Sheen as Uncle Ben, but it seemed like they were avoiding saying the phrase.
Yeah, so they really just added a lot of extra words.
To me,
Peter,
that's what
responsibility and stuff. Great power.
Well,
like if we have the power to do what's right, and we have a moral obligation to do those things. Like, this was like this long thing.
I like that you've given that explanation to me, because that's what I felt this movie was doing. It's like you're literally just adding like 2 words, just say the proper line. Because Spider-Man, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man is so ingrained into my brain as to what Spider-Man should be.
Yeah.
That everything about that is just that Spider-Man to me. So a hearty Cliff Robertson saying, "With great power comes great responsibility," is exactly what I think should be happening.
Yes.
Now, instead, it's
with great power, there must also come great responsibility. Yeah.
Which is the same thing. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
So she gets to be the Uncle Ben in the story, the one that kind of, propels him into the Spider-Man that we all know.
Even though he's already Spider-Man anyway.
Yes.
Or is he Spider-Boy?
But this is where he becomes Spider-Man without any kind of help or tech, or living on his own and not, having to kind of reintroduce himself to people.
True.
And this is like
if there's one thing people, maybe didn't like about Tom Holland's Spider-Man, it was the fact that he was always reliant on a Tony Stark. Or even in this movie, you had Doctor Strange, obviously, we haven't even mentioned yet. Doctor Strange, who is, a big star of this movie, ultimately. But certainly Tony Stark and the memory of Tony Stark in the second movie are massive in, compared to the actual story or the actual character story of Peter. It's always tied into Tony. And in this movie, it wasn't at all tied into Tony, which was freeing, I think, which is why so many people I think kind of have gone in droves to see this one and are showing some
why
love
people
for
are
this
really loving this version of Spider, because I think a lot of people were kind of iffy on this version of Spider-Man, and I think this movie has made a lot of people kind of come around on that, especially kind of seeing him be more gritty, and like Delisha mentions, the Goblin getting into his head and bringing out that darker side, and the fact that like
the beat
down and the emotion there, like all the emotion like coming out of him, and seeing that darker side of him, and talking about how he wanted to kill him, even with, when the other two Spider-Mans are talking to him and telling him that, they've kind of took that path and it didn't work out for them, but he still ultimately can't bring himself to take the lighter path, and he still kind of goes dark by the end. And it takes, Tobey Maguire to kind of come in and help him out.
Tobey Maguire's in this movie. What?
Before we get into that, Morgan, what I want to know is, as a major Scooby-Doo fan, what did you think of the Scooby-Doo line?
I mean, I don't really know why it's in there, to be honest with you. Don't really know why Doctor Strange.
You don't want me to make you a shirt that says "Let's Scooby-Doo this shit"?
Well, I don't really understand why it's there. I mean, why do we have to cartoonishly run around with a dog? I just feel like I don't know why that line's even in there. It's a trailer line.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually make sense in the movie. It's a trailer line, but it's Scooby-Doo, so I get excited. Obviously. And there's other emotional scenes. I mean, it's a very, very emotional death scene, to be fair. And what I did like about it was that at least, I mean, it was really up until that point, you've had glimpses of Dafoe and the Goblin coming out more than Norman. I mean, as Norman, he's great as well. He's very nervous and very kind of confused and just
scared and
very, very within himself. And then he changes it completely up for Goblin, obviously. And that scene where he blows up the entire building and May dies is a really significant... Well, it's a really significant moment, obviously, for Tom Holland's Batman, but it's a really significant moment for the Goblin in this movie, because as it being the first instance of Goblin being full Goblin.
Yeah, and it's kind of this Joker-Batman-esque relationship where he's trying to push Batman to do something that, he doesn't want to do, or make him be, like, stoop to his level and make him be, like, the villain.
I mean, so Green Goblin
there's that same push.
I mean, he's basically Batman if Batman was also the Joker.
Yeah.
I'm just putting this comment up from Kimber because it's just required.
I mean, that's a reach, but fair enough. I'll take it.
It's not a reach. It's accurate. Well done, Kim.
Any reference to Vincent Price is welcome here. So,
of course it is. Of course it is. But no, it was a really dark scene, and I really appreciated that. Some death scenes in the MCU that we've had haven't felt
that powerful. Yeah,
Quicksilver.
I mean, it was Quicksilver even, I think, but this one you felt
it
heavy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it was nasty. It was horrible to watch.
Yeah,
and it was acted superbly
by both.
But it was horrible to watch, and it should have been horrible to watch. So I appreciated the level of emotion that we actually got out of that scene.
Yeah.
But there's obviously other emotional elements to this movie that don't involve May's death.
Well, I think the biggest other one aside from that moment was Andrew Garfield getting that redemption moment. Like, I screamed out loud because I think everyone kind of knew when they saw MJ falling that was what they either wanted to happen or they were pretty sure was going to happen. But even just seeing it and then seeing his reaction when he lands and he catches her and like his lip quivers and his eyes start welling up with tears and he asks her if she's okay. And then she sees like his reaction and she's asked him if he's okay. And he like is like just, tearfully just shaking his head because he know, like, even just talking about it, I'm getting like emotional. Just him realizing like he saved her, like he did what he couldn't do for Gwen, and like just that moment for him was huge. And like even the way he went about catching her was different because he's thought about it since that second. He's analyzed every bit of that moment, so he's like, okay, I'm not going to use the web to catch her, I'm going to try to catch her myself and then use my web. And like even just the process of doing it, like you could tell he changed it up because he had thought about this moment so many times. So yeah, that moment like got me so hard. So,
and I'm really glad they didn't undercut that with a joke.
I know. Yeah.
That's a good, funny comment. So I just wanted to show.
Oh no!
We are definitely going to call him Sad Hogan.
Sad Hogan.
Happy Hogan will never be happy again.
It's all right. Happy Hogan's just going to open up a Cabanos food truck and just make his money that way.
Yeah, they were playing that music from Chef in a certain scene. I was like, when they were in the feast truck, I'm like, this is that song from Chef. So.
Why not? Why couldn't he do that?
Which also
what else is he doing?
Very meta moment with him at the table with Matt Murdock as he played Foggy Nelson in
the Ben Affleck Daredevil.
Okay, yeah. Right, yes. Right. Let's talk about this then.
Oh,
because this was emotional for Morgan as well. Not 10 minutes into the movie, I told the movie to behave itself. In a very neat kind of fashion.
You're such a grandpa.
I audibly, in a busy screen, just said, "Oh, behave." Quite like that loudly.
Oh, goodness.
When he's just shown up. We're back. He's back. Everybody's back. Spoilers for Hawkeye. He's back as well in the dude at the last episode of Hawkeye.
Yes, the big
We're
guy.
all back. Everybody's coming back. Not Iron Fist. He can go and
which I saw a couple like TikToks about
everybody's
people.
Back.
I think every comic book / superhero movie fan is in agreement of everyone from the Netflix series coming back except Iron Fist. If we can agree on anything, it's we all just don't want Iron Fist to come back. And I'm like, yeah, it's kind of true.
I will only take Iron Fist coming back
if they recast him.
No, if Shang-Chi kicks his ass. He's there for like 5 minutes and Shang-Chi just boots him out of frame.
I like that.
I mean, that's also a thing. We now actually have a martial artist in the MCU.
So yeah, we don't need Iron Fist, really.
Who is at least of Chinese origin.
And is way more charismatic.
And is way more charismatic than
Finn Jones.
Rich boy round.
Yeah.
Everybody in the Netflix Marvel is great, literally apart from him. Let's have them all back.
Justin Square is still cool with Iron Fist. He's an annoying little brother, but he's still family. Just ain't Fast and Furious, Justin Square.
I need to see Bullseye, like proper Bullseye. It was teased at the end of Daredevil season 3. I need to see that.
Yes.
We could be getting now Daredevil's.
He is Kimber. He's very cute.
Daredevil's a character I do like. Daredevil's a character I have read comics of. So I actually probably have more knowledge about Daredevil than I do about Spider-Man in terms of
He's the Marvel character I read the most in comics, especially the new run with Chip Zdarsky.
Daredevil's great. the Daredevil series
was really
what got me
great.
into Daredevil. It's outstanding.
So
I'm
to
so
see.
so happy he's back. When we are going to potentially, because we are, I don't even think we're not going to get full on Daredevil in another TV show. Although I think at this point, give him a movie.
Hell yeah, he's earned it.
Give him a movie.
I mean, what if he pops up like he could pop up in She-Hulk, like, you know, defending cases against her and things like that. I think that would be really fun. I would just love to see Misty Knight, my girl.
You need Misty Knight back.
Yes.
I want Rosario Dawson back.
Colleen Wing back.
I want Colleen Wing back.
Luke Cage.
Jessica Jones.
Yes,
obviously.
Of course you want Jessica Jones.
Get them all back. We don't have to bring back, what's her name? Shadowcat? Not Shadowcat, what's her name?
I have no idea who you're talking about.
Jessica Jones' friend who turned into a villain.
Oh, that happened?
Something Trish. Cat. Yeah.
Oh, that's what they did with that character? I never watched Jessica Jones beyond season 1.
Don't need Trish back.
Hellcat. Thank you.
Hellcat. Who's Shadowcat's an X-Men. But bringing Jessica, I mean, imagine actual Jessica Jones. I mean,
yeah, bring the character back for sure.
You can't do the absolute darkness of it, can you? Really, in the MCU proper.
No.
But also, you can't do the absolute darkness of any of those Netflix movies. Like Daredevil's even going to be a lighter version.
Yeah,
it's a little bit more probably. I wouldn't say quippy.
Yeah, Tom, I have heard that.
Hopefully Luke Cage doesn't get confused when he meets Blade.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes. That could be a potential future joke. Keep it in your little bank of jokes, Feige. You know.
I've got a theory about Kevin Feige. Did he try to be a stand-up comedian and he's just saved all these jokes from his sets that he failed for the MCU movies?
Perhaps. Well, I mean, Gemma Chan played 2 different characters in the MCU. And so did Michelle Yeoh as well.
Who else did Michelle Yeoh play?
She was in
Guardians
of the Galaxy Volume 2. Yeah. And Shang-Chi. Yeah.
I do agree with Kimber there. Jessica Jones is relatable for like those types of women. So if they can find a way to bring her back and like continue her story and like do it in a way that Disney can still make it, then fair play to it. It's just I'm not convinced they would go as dark as the Netflix show did.
Yeah.
No, and you will be doing a disservice to Jessica Jones not to do it as well as the Netflix series did.
Well, I think something like, you know, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier were able to kind of hit on some very serious, touchy topics and got a little bit dark. You know, they touched that line really well while still keeping
you do forget how
Disney
very
Plus.
Dark John Walker beating that was.
So I think it's possible. And they dealt with a lot of serious issues, you know, race issues and discrimination type stuff.
You are right.
You know.
You are right. It just gets me so I'm more excited about that than literally anything. I'm more excited about Matt Murdock being in this movie than the future of Spider-Man movies.
Him being as cool as ever, like, you know, because I'm a really good lawyer and catching that brick. Like you saw like Peter going to catch it, but he already caught it. And yeah.
And Peter's thinking, wait a minute,
how did you do that?
Like,
yeah. So just
really
having that moment with him. Yeah. That was a really great moment.
But yeah, I do think that's a good point, and you brought it up. Janine Tom's brought it up there. She-Hulk's a perfect series to put these guys in again.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's on the same level. Whilst She-Hulk's obviously being a bit more out there, being the fact that it's another Hulk.
Yeah.
And we get a green fighty monster, but a little bit more of a toned down green fighty monster.
I do hope that they don't overshadow She-Hulk, though, because I'm a bit worried about that show, because it sounds like a lot of Hulk stuff is just going into it, instead of it being
Mark
a story
Ruffalo's
about
going to be
She-Hulk.
there, so we'll see. If he's just kind of there to be an introductory kind of character, but he doesn't really take over like Tony Stark kind of did with the Spider-Man situation.
Yeah, I hope it's not like that. Let She-Hulk have her own show.
Yeah, and he can just kind of be here as the impetus, like, oh, she's my cousin, she has some of my blood, let's go from there. Just to get back to emotional moments, I loved seeing the Spider-Man science together, because I think, most of these movies, focus on his relationships and obviously the Spider-Man action element so much that we forget that he's a genius. So seeing the three of them like doing science and figuring things out and creating things, like, it's exciting to see. All three of these Peters are like super smart. So I loved getting to see, because it's almost like the whole thing with Batman. Like, we rarely get to see the Batman being the greatest detective ever in his movies, because they focus on a lot of other elements of the character. So
hopefully Pattinson changes that.
Yes, because this one looks very detective-ish. So I really liked that we got to see them sciencing together. It was really kind of fun, and it made a lot of emotional moments just seeing them together. And even like when Ned asks Tobey Maguire if he has a best friend, he brings up Harry. I'm like, that was really sad.
They even did the meme thing. Like, it was quite subtle.
Yeah.
They did. I liked as well, which is another meme thing, when Willem Dafoe says, "I'm something of a scientist myself."
Yes.
Obviously, they had to bring that phenomenal line back. It's not even a good line. It's just a line in the movie. It's completely become something else.
Yes.
The power of memes.
Another line that I think a lot of people didn't notice was between Tobey Maguire and Dr. Otto Octavius at the end, when he kind of sees Peter and he's like, "Peter, oh my gosh, how are you?" And Peter says, "Trying to do better." You hear a little bit of his original score, and it's the same moment when he sees him in the lab before he does his whole, test with the big machine. And he says, "Oh, Peter, brilliant but lazy." And he's like, "Well, I'm trying to do better." So he told him that, like, when they were first meeting in that Spider-Man 2. And so when he sees him again, he says, "Trying to do better again." So I'm just like,
I love them just talking like old friends.
Yeah, like he's really like wanting to know how he's been. Like, that concern there was just like really sweet, because they did have a great kind of relationship and rapport. And even like between Electro and Andrew Garfield, when like he's cured and they're having that conversation.
They really Electro got a great glow up, both design wise and character wise.
Yeah. So we do get that Miles tease. Yeah,
I do like each Spider-Man talking to their own villains.
Yeah.
As though they've not seen them in years.
Yeah.
And say, like, even Andrew Garfield, talking about Kurt Connors and being like, "Oh, no, I've got the cure for that. I've done it already."
Yeah.
Real convenient there, Andrew.
You can do it again.
But even Tobey Maguire, like, kind of talking about, I've had a lot of time to think about a cure for this Goblin thing. So, it's been on my mind so I think I could come up with something, because I've been thinking about it.
Great time to think about it, considering both your goblins have been dead for years.
Well, I think that gave him the impetus to think about it, just in case something like that happened again.
I do like the conversation between the three of them as well, when they're discussing the villains they've fought, which is a discussion you knew was going to happen in this movie, and you knew it was going to come across as quite silly, but you enjoy it anyway. I fought a big Russian guy in a rhino costume. Of course you did, you weirdo.
I fought the guy from that 70s show.
I fought an alien. I fought an alien in space.
He was purple, not made of black goo. It's like, what? Wait, you went to space?
Yes.
They all had such good chemistry. It was amazing.
Yes. And that
Sorry. They're all so excited, and I'm excited as well, because I'll again show my naivety when it comes to Spider-Man. And basically the fact that all my knowledge of Spider-Man comes from the Raimi movies was that I always assumed Spider-Man shot his webs from within himself.
Oh yes, the whole conversation about the organic web shooters,
web
and
shooters, man.
Web
shooters, like, get out of my face.
And do you get web block, which he actually did in Spider-Man 3, so like he could talk about that.
Exactly.
And just them referencing things from the movies was really great.
The two of them are so confused and in a state of wonder at the fact that web just comes out of Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, they're like, does it come out of anywhere else? Like, I'm sorry, we're bugging you about this. We're just really curious because we can't do that. Yeah.
So I love that. I love that.
Yes.
I really did. I'm gonna put this little.
Also, and I loved, Tobey telling Andrew several times that he's amazing, like using the word amazing.
You're spectacular, sensational, superior, ultimate.
I mean, it would be vomit-inducing if it wasn't legitimately well done.
Yes, like I gave that one. I gave it a pass because I was just already so high on seeing the three of them together that when he was like, you're amazing. The Spider-Man from the Amazing Spider-Man movies.
The best part for me though, like kind of memey too. The Tobey being my back.
Yes. Yeah. And having the whole scene of him cracking his back for him. Yeah.
The weird one brings up a good point in the chat when Tobey Maguire is like, what is that, when Tom Holland mentioned the Avengers?
And he's like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. What is that? How is this helping? And he's like getting frustrated. So
I don't mean brag, I was in the Avengers.
Bully Maguire came back.
Bully Maguire, yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm also glad that Tobey did not mention, oh yeah, I had a bit of an emo phase and I danced down the street.
Yeah.
I once had a weird time.
Yeah. He does kind of say like he had he doesn't really address the dark suit time, but
now how
Sandman put some dirt in his eye though.
True. How loud were the cheers and applause when the two of them showed up though through the portals?
I was in a row full of nerds and we just clapped for like 20 seconds.
Yes, everyone, there were lots of ooh and like claps and cheers when that portal opened. And you hear a little bit of that score from the movie, so it's him before you see him take the mask off. And then when the mask came off, like claps, hoots, hollers, everyone was going crazy.
They also used the superior Andrew Garfield theme.
Yes.
The James Horner one.
There may have been in my screening claps and some instances of when Andrew Garfield took his mask off. When Tobey Maguire
just walked
backwards through a portal and turned around and it was Tobey Maguire, somebody at the back of my screen, I thought it made everybody jump in the entire screening, as he literally went, yeah! Really loudly. To the point where everybody just went,
yes,
everyone took their eyes off the screen.
Everyone went crazy.
This guy was really excited, but specifically Tobey Maguire. I don't know why he was that excited for Tobey Maguire when he just seen Andrew Garfield, and what else was he thinking was going to
happen? Like, I think that was going to be obvious, but I think actually seeing it, I think was just a crazy thing for everybody.
It brought me back. It was just unbelievable.
And they could have easily just made them cameos at the end, but they feel like legit
supporting characters. Yeah, and none of them phoned it in. None of them were just like, we're here for a paycheck. We'll just do this, for the fan service and go. They literally like revisited these characters full on, mannerisms, how they act and talk, and their characteristics. They played all of that perfectly, like we remembered. So it was really believable that this is where they would be now. It was.
I just have to read this out from Kimber. There was two crowd claps in my theatre and then a clap at the end. We were with my friend Daniel, and he hates when people clap. So every time it happened, I stared Daniel straight in the eye and exaggerated my clapping.
That is such a Kimber move, and I approve of it.
Well done, Kimber. Well done. That is very appropriate. I like that. But no, I can only ever remember three other instances of audible cheers and applause when I've been and watched a movie in this country. Now, I always go to big movies on opening day, or I always try to. So I always tend to have busy screenings, but this Endgame and Star Wars Force Awakens are the only three things I can actually remember audible
cheers and gasps
cheers and claps.
Okay.
Yeah. No one clapped during Rise of Skywalker, though.
Nobody clapped.
No.
Everybody at the end of that movie was just going,
And this movie could have easily been another Rise of Skywalker situation where you just take what the fans are saying and do it like really blandly. But I'm so glad they did it with passion and like pure emotion and earned it.
That's the difference. That is the difference, because if you write down a lot of what happens in this movie, you're looking at that going, oh God, that could be just terrible.
Yeah.
That could just come off so really
weird and cringe and awkward, but everything plays so well.
It really does. It's gold dust. They've hit everything as perfectly as I think they could have wished to, with it being such a weird concept of a movie.
Yeah.
And a movie that I was terrified would be too complex and multiversy and weird was painfully straightforward, and I love that.
Yeah.
Because oh my God, was I worried hearing all what I thought was hearing all what people thought was going to happen in Spider-Man No Way Home, and who was gonna come in, whatever was gonna be weird with the situation, and about Multiverse of Madness as well.
Yeah.
But oh my God, am I totally calm when it comes to what I am going to expect from the multiverse in the MCU now, and the way it's going to be dealt with, because I have been confused with that kind of stuff in the past. I should have known from Loki, I suppose, that it was going to be relatively understandable. No, not that it was going to get weird, but it was that the weirdness was going to be relatively understandable and fairly straightforwardly told. But I know obviously, you two get very excited about theories and things like that, and sometimes that confuses me when you talk to me about them. It's like it goes over my head and I get confused.
I'm trying not to be now. I'm just trying to enjoy the ride with superhero movies now.
But I just like I like how it was just it was a weird out there concept that was so easily told.
Yeah. The weird one thinks Toby was killed by that stab. I didn't quite read it like that. Did you guys think Toby ended up going off to die?
I think it was a fake out death moment. It was meant to shock people.
I do agree with the weird one. I did think they were going to do that when he got stabbed, actually, but yeah, I don't think that is what happened. I now think Toby's gone back to Raimi universe and to do whatever.
And then he's going to heal up and be fine because he's like, oh yeah, I've been stabbed before.
He's just saying my back until he gets to the hospital.
Yeah.
And look, I think this is one movie where this kind of stuff happened. I don't think we're going to get this again in a Spider-Man sense. And if we do, it's not going to be on the same level.
Yeah.
No, not for
one
sure.
movie where they've done multiple Spider-Men in a movie. You're not going to have somewhat bigger scale movies with, say, bigger casts of multiple MCU characters, all in the same movie again, a la Avengers style with 3 Spider-Men in it. You're not going to have that. I don't think, for God's sake, if they can, it would be silly. But I just think logistically.
Tom actually brings up a good point. Like, now that there's Toby Blood in the MCU, is it time for Ben Reilly to show up? That could be a way to bring Tobey Maguire back and just give him blonde hair. Be the clone of Spider-Man. But the Jackal stuff and the Clone Saga is known in Spider-Man comics for being like the weirdest storyline they've ever done, so I doubt they're going to go down that route. They probably wouldn't go there. No.
Now, this might lead us on to our perhaps last one, actually. Where is it? Here we are. The future of spiders, which is another category I've made.
We love spiders at Christmas. We put them on Marv's face. It's fantastic.
We do put them on Marv's face.
If only that was Terry Silver that Peter was pummeling at the end of the movie instead of Goblin, right, Morgan?
Yes, Justin Square. Pummel Terry Silver's horrible face into the ground.
You've got Cobra Kai season 4 to look forward to.
I'm not looking forward to it in the slightest. I love Cobra Kai.
I hope you'll come on and talk Cobra Kai with us again, Nolan, and we can mock Morgan about the return of Terry Silver.
Terry Silver is probably going to get his ass kicked in it, so you're not going to tune in.
Terry Silver's going to be monumentally annoying. It's going to give me New Year anxiety. I'm going to start off the new year horribly by having to watch Terry Silver. I hate it. I hate the Karate Kid.
Well, yes, I think we would have loved to watch him get pummeled over the Green Goblin, but
I don't even hate the Karate Kid 3. I like the movie.
To Tom's question, do you think we're going to get MCU Sony cameos in Into the Spider-Verse 2? It's possible. Sure.
I'd
be down for it.
Category's idea. What is the future of spiders? Because ultimately, as far as Tom Holland goes, we are now going to get much more on his own, or at least I believe we're going to get much more on his own, much more Kingpin related stuff. I hope. Much more New York neighborhood Spider-Man.
Yes. Street level Spider-Man.
Street level Spider-Man. Which, for God's sake, I really want that. And that's exactly what I think we're going to get with. I am in pain, Justin Square. I am in pain. You don't understand my hatred of Terry Silver. Like, I like Crease. Crease is wonderful, but Terry Silver is just deeply annoying. Deeply.
What I would love to happen in the next Spider-Man movie is I want them to bring in or at least hint at Miles Morales in the universe and have Peter be a mentor to him. I also think the Prowler would be a really cool villain to do, and I think now is the right time to make Matt Gargan the Scorpion, because you could have J. Jonah Jameson use him to go and hunt down Spider-Man and he becomes a villain.
Yeah.
And now that they've got Aaron Taylor Johnson being Kraven the Hunter, I doubt you're going to get a Kraven v Spider-Man movie now. Which is weird. Could you imagine if this movie was the Kraven the Hunter movie, like it almost was going to be?
Yeah. But I don't see
it. It was actually, wasn't it? I remember that. I agree with Tom. Get Luke Cage and Spider-Man in the same situation.
Sure, that'd be fun.
Get literally all the Netflix people that you've not brought them all back yet, but you are doing if you've got a brain.
And they're all in New York, right?
And sense. And they're all there. And they're all yours characters to do with whatever you want with.
Yeah, the Punisher as well. He's there.
Punisher's there. All these people, all those people now, you just put Spider-Man alongside them. And that's that level. And then you have Doctor Strange and Kang and all the other and Eternals and all the other world-bending nonsense going on all the way up here. And you have all down here. You have your your Daredevils, your Cages, your Spider-Man, your Kate Bishops, your Shang-Chi's, I suppose, even though he's a little bit magical. All down here on the street, fighting, punching people. And then you have Wanda and Doctor Strange and Loki and all this business up here, twizzling people's minds around.
Twizzling. Technical term, twizzling.
And no in-between, because there's not an in-between anymore.
Yeah.
You've not got an in-between anymore. You're either really, really street level, or really,
you're like
really,
super powered or super teched out.
Really world-bending.
I mean, the villains they haven't used in Spider-Man movies, now that I think about it, they've used a lot of the classic ones, but you haven't seen people like Hammerhead, who's the mafia guy who's literally got a steel plate in his head that he uses to ram stuff. If you're going to bring Fisk in, you could do that.
You are going to bring Fisk in.
You could. I mean, this is one that I know Tom is probably going to disagree with me on this. But I'm sorry, I'm going to prepare for it. There is a Spider-Man villain that I've really wanted to see in films called the Rocket Racer, and he's like this black kid from a Harlem neighborhood who builds a jet-powered skateboard and uses it to rob banks. And he's just kind of cool. Like, I think he would be fun for a Spider-Man street level movie.
Okay.
You could get like the kid Spider-Man Blackish or something to do it.
I do not want to see Spider-Man beat up a child on a skateboard.
He's not a child. He's like the same age as Tom Holland.
Yes, technically he's still a child.
He's
just a kid. He's just a kid.
Well, sure, whatever.
Which we did get a call back to that.
I think Prowler would be fun. Bring back Donald Glover. Let him wear the Prowler suit.
Yeah.
Tom says he doesn't care enough about that character.
And who else have they not done in Spider-Man comics that they could do in the movies? I mean, they've not done Black Cat yet.
Yeah, Felicia Hardy.
That's a good street level.
She was teased in Amazing Spider-Man 2, but nothing came of that.
Yeah.
I know it's probably not going to happen, but I want to see more of Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man because this movie cemented.
I think everybody does.
Spider-Man.
I think everyone does. He had some of the best moments, the best lines, the best like emotion. Yeah, like even the fact that he was just like, "I love you guys," and they were just like, "Thanks."
Tom just got me really excited. He mentioned a villain that I really like called Arcade. Morgan, you would love this guy. He's basically like a crazed sort of carnival runner dude who has got like death traps at a carnival.
I think I've heard of this guy.
Isn't he more of an X-Men guy though, Tom?
I'm sure I read an Elektra comic where this guy was in it.
Okay.
And Elektra had to do weird things in a fun house. Or something like that.
A sentence that sounds so weird.
I mean, fight people. I don't know why I said do weird things. I mean, fight.
I'm just taken back to that very problematic scene from Revenge of the Nerds, so thank you.
No.
I would love for them to bring Shocker back and give him his comic book outfit.
Yeah.
Justin Hammer, you're never seeing again.
No, why?
It's been and gone.
Good.
It's been and gone. It's been
He's
literally
so
10
good.
years.
We've heard things about Hammer Tech and other things.
Do you think we will see Harry Osborn played by Timothy Chalamet like the internet wants? I know what you feel about Timothy Chalamet.
Triangular, pointed face, Dorito-looking dude out of the MCU.
I mean, he'd make a good Harry. I'm not going to lie, he would. He's got the kind of...
He probably would. He's a very good actor. He's a very good actor.
He just looks like a triangle.
He just looks like a triangle. I like Timothy Chalamet an awful lot. He just looks like a triangle, and I will never not think that.
Yeah, maybe. Armor Wars, we might see Justin Hammer.
What's Armor Wars? Have I missed something?
It's that War Machine series, isn't it?
War Machine? There's a War Machine series? Have I missed something? Is that not Secret
every
Wars?
Marvel character?
It's on the
series or
it's on the Disney Plus roster of new shows coming out, like Secret Invasion and
Oh, the Secret Invasion, what I'm thinking of, that's the one that's going to be Skrulls, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Right, yeah.
Chameleon would be
Ironheart.
really fun. I'm not sure he would work for a movie, though. He feels like he'd suit a Netflix show model better than a movie. Because all he does is shapeshift.
Yeah, Sam Rockwell's great. It's just an hammer.
You're never seeing him again. You're not. I'm sorry. You're
well,
not.
I'm talking about the future of what I want to see.
If you do see Justin Hammer again, based on where we last saw him, he's going to have an arsehole like a yawning hippo's mouth. Sorry, Morgan.
What? What?
He just had to walk away. Why do you always break Morgan? And then you come back to Justin Square bringing up Terry Silver. So, Justin.
I feel sick. Stop it. It's a horrible phrase.
Hammerhead to really fuck with you.
Oh dear.
Oh goodness. Tom will avenge you. See.
Horrible. I don't know if they are going.
Morgan, come back. I have butterscotch.
I'm here. Hi. I don't know if they're going to do another Garfield movie. I mean, how would it literally be an Amazing Spider-Man 3?
Or would they just reboot it with him?
Part of that? Or
and then bring in a Spider-Gwen?
Would you have Andrew Garfield be what Sony's doing now as that Spider-Man? Because technically they don't have a Spider-Man yet because they've not been allowed to.
Yeah.
I mean, he could be in the Venom universe, sure.
That's what I mean. Could he be in the Venom / Jared Leto universe?
Oh, God. If that happens, can he just punch Jared Leto in the face?
Are you actually going to watch that Jared Leto movie, Nolan? Because I really don't think for your health that you should.
I'm torn. I mean, I don't have that much of a connection to Morbius anyway, and it looks like Underworld, and I hate Jared Leto with a passion.
I mean,
the
only thing I know about Morbius is from the animated cartoon from the 90s. But I mean,
why cast Jared Leto when Robert Pattinson was right there?
Because he's Batman. I thought Morbius was Owen Wilson from Loki.
Oh, God. I could think of probably like 5 better people to play Morbius off the top of my head.
It just feels like
Owen
that
Wilson
early era.
Loki called
Mobius?
Mobius,
That's too close a name for you to expect me to remember that they're two different things.
I also agree with Tom. I know Garfield's career doesn't necessarily need it, but if it happened, I would see it because, honestly, out of all the Spider-Man actors, I'll say, I think Tobey's got the best movies. Andrew is the actor who gets Spider-Man the most. Like, if you see him talk about it in interviews, he gets Spider-Man on the level like Chris Reeves' Superman did. And Tom Holland is like, so I've been a Spider-Man fan my whole life, and seeing the current guy who's Spider-Man now be the same age as me, it's just really cool. And it's kind of like living that dream, kind of. So with Tom Holland, he's like the dreamer's Spider-Man. He's the Spider-Man for the fans, essentially.
Yeah.
So they all have their qualities. They all their good stuff. So you don't need to argue about which one is the best on Twitter every fucking day, you morons.
I see you.
They all bring something.
I do not do that.
I have actively seen you do that today.
Nah, today I was just making fun of people who can't take criticism.
Sure.
If you ain't got the receipts, it didn't happen, bro.
That's a good point. I don't think they will do another Garfield Spider-Man movie. I actually don't want them to, because ultimately, as much as I actually do also like Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, I would just say that I think the way Andrew Garfield ends this movie is redemptive for the things he did wrong.
Yes. I would love to see I would love to see Emma Stone play a Spider-Gwen, but we've got her in Spider-Verse, so that's good. And Mahesh, yes, I hope they fix that goddamn door.
That's a good joke. I like that. I had to think about it.
Do you also remember Mr. Ditkovich's advice for meeting women?
No, I don't think so.
You go up to her and you say, "You are a good woman. I am good man."
I'll try that. I'll try that. Yeah, see how that works. Oh dear. Anyway,
I actually tried that once and I got punched in the face. Granted, I probably shouldn't have said it. Probably shouldn't have said it to my gran.
Or in a weird Eastern European accent.
Oh goodness.
You are a good woman. I am a good man.
Yeah, it's almost like this shoulder tap. Hey.
I mean, I think Andrew Garfield could show up in one of the Spider-Verse movies, make him voice like Ben Reilly or something. That'd be fun.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Or actually, Tom mentioned Superior Spider-Man earlier. I don't think they'll ever do that in the MCU, but Morgan, since you're not a Spider-Man fan, that's when Doc Ock takes over Peter Parker's body.
That sounds weird.
What?
Do that in Spider-Verse as a finale. Could you imagine fighting like an evil Peter Parker? That'd be a fun way to wrap up Miles' arc in that movie.
Does that mean... But MCU... Wait. Does that mean Dr. Octopus... Does that mean the tentacles are on Spider-Man?
No, it's just... No, Doc Ock's mind is just in Peter Parker's body. It's like a Freaky Friday thing.
Well, that's weird.
I think it would work in the Spider-Verse movies, but not in live action. Like, have Olivia Octavius do it to, like, the Peter Parker in that universe.
Yeah.
All I was saying is that I don't want to see an Amazing Spider-Man 3 simply because...
You don't want to see Dane DeHaan's Goblin back.
Well, also, yes. Simply because leave them wanting more. You know?
Yeah, don't ruin a good thing.
More. You can't be disappointed if you leave them wanting more. Because then they're anticipating. They're never going to get it, but they're anticipating. So they're not like, oh, that was a letdown. Because it can't be a letdown if you want more, can it?
Do you want a Logan-style movie for Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man? Like the internet apparently wants?
I'd be down for that simply because it's Tobey Maguire and that's what I connect. No, I don't. No, we don't need that. That's just silly. No more other Spider-Men.
Unless it's Miles. Bring Miles into the live-action ones, sure.
Unless it's Miles.
Which they hinted at, so there's a good shot.
Unless it's Miles, yes, or unless you're putting Garfield into the Venom universe.
I mean, I can imagine him and Tom Hardy would have fun chemistry.
You could do that.
Although, what if they do, for Venom 3, they do the multiverse thing like further and they bring back Topher Grace's Venom?
I mean, who knows? Venom multiverse. They could do. If they want to fully connect, I mean, but then it wouldn't be. I don't know. It's all going to get very weird, isn't it?
So, do we think we're going to see Ned and MJ again in this universe?
No,
I don't think so.
No. And I think that's fair. They've done what they done. The ending.
So you think we're gonna move on with like A Gwen Stacy, perhaps.
Yeah, Gwen.
Meeting her.
Mm-hmm. Harry and Gwen. That'd be great.
Yeah. Okay. Have Harry be a college buddy from MIT. And yeah, put Gwen in there. Because ultimately, the ending of No Way Home, or the way, he deals with MJ and Ned, is terribly sad, but it's really quite beautiful that he goes. Obviously, when again, we've not talked about Doctor Strange at all in this an hour and a half discussion, but
which I did love that he defeated him with math.
Yes,
that was great.
Geometry.
Yes,
it's the best use of an MCU character in a Spider-Man movie that I've seen.
Yeah,
Doctor Strange was great in this. I really like Doctor Strange in this, to be honest with you.
And Multiverse of Madness looks great. There was a nice post-credit scene there. That trailer looks awesome.
It was. I do like how What If is relevant.
I don't know if he's confirmed, but I really hope Bruce Campbell is in Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah. It's a Raimi movie. Kind of has to be. It's kind of a requirement, no?
So I don't know if that was like the dark version of Doctor Strange that we saw in What If, or it's a different dark version, because the dark version in the trailer seemed more kind of sinister,
but he was dressed the same,
as opposed to the What If one, which was kind of more driven by actual love and and desperation. So the vibes felt different.
Maybe
the one in the trailer seemed more maniacal. The other one is purely driven by just desperation and love.
But maybe the one from What If, his love and desperation has driven him to such a degree where he turns maniacal.
Maybe.
That can happen.
All I ask is the internet, can you not leak Multiverse of Madness like you leaked everything for No Way Home?
Oh my gosh, there are so many clips.
Of Multiverse of Madness?
Oh no, of No Way Home.
Of No Way Home.
Or of this? Oh, really? Like going up now?
Like before.
Oh dear.
Like the Andrew Garfield thing leaked like 2 months ago.
Oh.
It was just the scene of him standing on the scaffolding was leaked, and people thought it was fake.
Well, they showed it to him, and he lied and said, "Oh, that was photoshopped."
Oh, that's terrible.
But no, even now,
the Daredevil photo as well.
Mm-hmm.
Wait,
if you've avoided it, I'm fucking amazed.
I had no idea Daredevil was going to be in this movie.
Yeah, that was leaked.
Oh, I've done well.
Morgan, give me your internet, please.
This what?
Give me your internet. I don't want to see leaks anymore.
It was leaked by John Campia, and
Oh, you think I pay attention to?
Well, no, I did not. I did not pay attention to him either. But on my Instagram, somebody who follows him screenshotted the pictures that he shared and posted on their Instagram. So when I was scrolling through, it would the whole debate on his show was, were those photos real?
I feel about John Campia the way you feel about Terry Silva.
And somebody posted them saying, "Oh," and he put his watermark on them and was like, "Oh, I saw these on his show. Are they real?" And so I'm like, so I saw them. Yeah.
John Campia looks like a guy who demands a lollipop when he goes to the dentist.
So that's where those photos came from.
Look, as much as I would half enjoy this to be the case, this is not going to become the rail on John Campia. However, that is disgraceful, I might actually add. But
he also said totally a month before, anyone who leaks movies should be fined $1 million, and then he did the exact same thing.
But then he tried to go under the guise of, well, I didn't know if these were real or not, so that's why it was okay that I did it, because I didn't know if these were real or not.
Drivel.
So that's what he said. So I'm not getting into all of that, but.
Well, John Campia, there's a nice message for you, mate.
There's the agenda fully on display. You'll
become my nemesis like Rob Schneider is Janine's.
Do I have a nemesis?
Terry
Terry
Silver.
Silver.
Terry Silver. Or just the guy who plays Terry Silver. I just actively hate him just because he plays
Terry Silver. Yeah.
Don't know his name. That's bad though. Yeah, but honestly, I had absolutely no idea. So here is my advice to everybody else: stop seeking out theories and what's going to happen in this movie, and just maybe watch the trailer, the official trailer, not the weird other nonsense that comes out, and go and see the movie. And that's even if you want to see the trailer in the first place.
Which you typically don't like to watch trailers.
Which I typically don't for big movies. I never saw the Shang-Chi or Eternals trailer. I'm loving those movies.
All you knew about this movie was Doc Ock was in it.
Well, I knew Goblin was in it and Electro was in it. But I knew the villains were in it. But I obviously didn't know. I mean, I'd heard the things about Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield and assumed they were going to be in it.
But you never heard any of the Charlie Cox stuff?
Absolutely nothing about Charlie Cox. I apologize. What I had heard was that was it some sort of quote from Feige of like
if Charlie Cox ever were to return,
if Daredevil was going to be in the MCU, it would be played by Charlie Cox.
Yeah.
I remember seeing
because
that.
He's perfect for Matt Murdock.
Of course he is. I remember seeing that, but I had absolutely no idea that he was going to be in this movie, which is why, like I said, I audibly told the movie to behave itself after 10 minutes.
Yeah.
No idea.
Are you going to be telling Doctor Strange 2 to behave itself?
Probably. I also, think about it. Saw this. Wait a minute. Had I already seen Kingpin?
No, you hadn't. You saw this movie on Wednesday, and then you ended up watching.
I did. It's a good point.
Then you ended up watching Hawkeye the next day.
I hadn't even seen that yet. So I was like madly
excited.
But yeah.
But did you know about the Hawkeye, the Kingpin teases?
What, in the first episodes of Hawkeye?
Yes. Where people were kind of saying, like, well, with the whole first Echo episode, I think everyone was saying that, like, the uncle was Kingpin. That was our kind of.
Oh, yeah, but I knew, but, like, how the hell would you get that? You know what I mean? You say, oh, the uncle. Oh, I'm not going to immediately just go, yeah, that's going to be D'Onofrio.
That's what everyone did.
I mean, how perceptive are these people?
I think they're just more perceptive than you.
I know who that is.
Yeah, everyone literally.
There's been zero confirmation of this. How do you possibly know who that is? People think too hard, man.
Well, they didn't think too hard because it was true.
I know, but that's what I mean. People like
you just don't think at all.
No, people. Well, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. People want something so bad that they like convince themselves that has to happen. And if it doesn't happen, they just get like, oh well, I've not made that now. You make yourself out to be an idiot sometimes. Not you. I'm just talking about people.
Okay, Morgan. Fair enough.
But it's just like, how the hell are you gonna possibly guess that Uncle from Hawkeye is all of a sudden Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin?
Back in my day, we just watched the movies when they came out, and we were lucky to have them.
Precisely. No.
Thank you, Grandpa Nolan.
But
it's hilarious because I'm the youngest out of all three of you, I think.
Nolan, listen. Sorry, Janine, listen. I'm getting confused.
I'm not Janine, Morgan.
Are you telling me...
It's hard to tell.
Are you telling me that you thought that Uncle was Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin before you watched any weird theory videos?
I had no idea. I honestly didn't pay attention to it until it happened. I was like,
yeah,
oh, cool,
no.
Kingpin's back.
Yeah.
No, so you only get this information from watching weird theory videos, right? I don't watch those. How am I supposed to know?
But then, yes, so then they kind of put the things together, and then you're like, okay, then I see it. You can see it. That's kind of obvious.
What are they putting together? What is in there that screams Kingpin?
You see a pin drop in one episode, and it lands on a guy with a crown.
Farther in the comics, Michael. Thank you for actual evidence that Morgan has absolutely diddly squat of an idea about. But honestly, I'm not. I know this sounds like I'm sarcastic because I'm trying to be like quite loud, but that is an actual piece of. Okay, that I can understand that now. I can understand.
Tom, I want to see that book that you downloaded.
What?
Tom says he downloaded and read what he thought was the 7th Harry Potter book in high school. After 600 pages of bullshit, you learn not to buy into everything. Oh my god, someone actually wrote 600 pages of fanfic.
Oh my gosh.
Tom, that's bad, man. Okay then. Okay, so right. No, this makes sense now. If Kingpin has a relationship
to
as
Echo,
a connection
the character.
to Maya, then I get that. Then see, obviously, me being a simpleton doesn't know that kind of stuff.
But then I think somebody also mentioned above that like they did use a little bit of like his vocal tone for like a chuckle that he gives when he's like, you know, touching her face.
Oh my god. As though I'm going to remember.
I'm not talking about you. I'm just saying that is the effort they went to like put those little hints in there for people.
They will go to crazy lengths to justify theories.
That's not a hint.
That's saying they
a human laughing slightly. That's not a hint.
Well, it was a hint for some
people latch onto.
Well, no, it's not people latch. They actually used his laugh. They actually used Vincent D'Onofrio's laugh for that little bit of whatever. So if it was just some innocuous thing that they weren't wanting people to latch onto, they wouldn't have even put that in there, is what I'm saying.
I don't watch this stuff that closely. I'm sorry.
Like people, yes, the people looked at his cufflinks. People heard. People listened to.
That's what I remember from Daredevil season 1. What Kingpin wore on his cuffs.
People listened to his footsteps, how they were heavier than the other footsteps that were there. Yes, that is what.
And it all turned out to be Paul Giamatti's Rhino.
That is. Just because you don't watch things like that doesn't mean other people don't.
No, I know that.
Everybody looks at things differently. Everyone analyzes things differently. These, especially the MCU type stuff, is always about throwing little cues and clues and nods of things in them. So you can't look at them like any other thing.
I his days watching Antique Roadshow.
So I know, as stupid as you think that stuff may be,
I don't know.
This is the series that would do things like that for fans to pick up on. So you can laugh it off and make fun of it as much as you want.
Twisting me.
But those things are in there for fans.
You are twisting.
Analyze.
Am I not a fan?
Can we change the name of this section to Punking Morgan?
You are twisting. Michael, I appreciate that as a joke. Also, he said, "Hi, Maya, it's me, your Uncle Kingpin," which is exactly the kind of stuff I need if I'm to recognize who the hell it is. I don't think these showing little hints like this are stupid. I unbelievably commend these people who can spot stuff like that. But I just don't want I understand. I don't want to be made to feel like an idiot for not getting it, which is my issue. When it's the most subtle, absolute nothing hint in the entire world.
Fair enough.
That's the thing. Oh yeah, that was obvious that it was Kingpin. Frankly, no, it wasn't.
Hey, Morgan, that brick that Daredevil caught was thrown with such precision. Obviously, that means Bullseye is going to be the next Spider-Man villain.
Yes, of course, of course. Did you not spot the tiny little white target that was a centimeter small on the one corner of that brick that you saw for half a second?
See, that's how you got to look at it.
I physically am unable to do that. I really am. So I genuinely.
You can never beat Daredevil.
You sound like me trying to explain comic book stuff to my mum.
It's just I don't watch stuff that closely. I can't. I really. I mean, you must have seriously impressive detective brains to watch stuff that closely. I'd be a dreadful detective. I would. I'd be awful. I would need somebody to say, yes, I killed him, to actually be guaranteed you killed him.
What a waste of that Poirot mustache, then.
That's what the brick said.
Mysterio, sincerely, Bullseye. Michael, you're a man after my own heart, mate.
And he even spelled believe wrong like it was on the brick. Thank you, Michael.
Also, I love the idea, this is just a small thing, that there's a small group of New Yorkers who are now Mysterio stans.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Can you imagine what those fan clubs look like? They all bring their own fish bowls.
Fishbowl heads, yeah.
But they're really, like, obviously fish bowls they bought from the pet shop.
From the pet store. Yeah.
J. Jonah Jameson's just reporting 50 goldfish were killed today in my Mysterio party.
Yes. So you're still a better detective than most movie Batmans.
Love you, Kimber. Thank you. Thank you specifically for having faith in me when nobody else does. Including these two on the panel that.
What?
Hey, I was just in the background. Janine was the one roasting you.
I was not roasting you. I was simply trying to get you to understand other people's perspectives because
Janine, you were roasting him on an open fire.
I was not.
It's okay. It's fine. It's just
the future of spiders.
Just that's my job. I am the one who is supposed to roast Morgan.
You both do it very well, and I just take it.
I was not trying to say that you should have automatically known that Kingpin was that character. I was telling you that based on news and things that were coming out before that episode aired, if you had seen anything like on Twitter or news reports, everyone was saying that.
You know full well I don't look at it.
But I'm not saying you look those things up. They're just always there, like scrolling through anywhere. And
you know full well that on my Twitter feed they are not there.
Okay.
Hey, just like Mysterio said in Far From Home, nowadays they'll believe anything.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed this. I have enjoyed this thoroughly. Do we want to talk, a little bit, maybe for 5 minutes about that Doctor Strange trailer that we got?
It looks awesome.
The end credits.
Yeah, I think they said Wanda's going to be the villain of this, but this evil Doctor Strange seems a little bit more menacing than her.
It doesn't look like she's going to be the villain.
So I don't know.
No, it doesn't at all.
Mm-mm.
She's certainly going to play
a big part in it. But...
Full Scarlet Witch is going to play a big part. She's going to be all dressed up, all nice.
Baron Mordo's hair upgrade, though.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, he's got some.
You forget Chiwetel Ejiofor was even in the thing.
Yeah, he stole Heimdall's hairdo. So
we're not talking about it for an hour, for God's sake. Kimber, you really like Doctor Strange.
We'll definitely have to get her on when we talk Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, which isn't that long. Isn't that far away, is it?
No.
It's like May, I think it comes out, provided Omicron doesn't kill it.
Stop talking about silly things. Please. I've always thought Omicron sounded like a supervillain's weapon anyway.
Isn't it the same name as one of the evil Transformers?
Isn't that Unicron? Is that what that is?
That's maybe what I've got it from.
Transformers.
That's what it sounds like.
It's like how they name hurricanes really silly things like Hurricane Katrina.
Yeah.
There's sillier names than that. Like, if it was named
The Beast from the East storm that we had in 2018. That's what they called the storm in the UK.
Hurricane Bernard.
Hurricane Desmond.
Hurricane Desmond.
My goodness.
Oh yeah, you get stupid names for getting Storm Bertha, I'm sure was one thing not that long ago, actually.
That sounds like my old stripper name.
Your old stripper name.
Storm Bertha.
When you used to be a stripper, or when you used to visit strip clubs and there was an old stripper called Bertha.
And she was your regular girl.
Oh no, I don't mean before.
Oh hi Bertha, I'm back.
I'm actually doing this now. I haven't been performing stand-up comedy at open mic nights. I've been going to strip clubs and performing as a dancer.
Oh my goodness.
It's not surprising, really, given
in Glasgow standards, I'm considered like quite high, so that should tell you how bad the scene is here.
And you keep trying to get me to come to Glasgow.
Yes.
That's exactly why I want you to come to Glasgow.
Oh dear.
But since we don't have singles in the UK, please do not throw pound coins at me. They're quite sore.
Is that what people have been doing?
Just checking to coins at you.
Money. Make it rain, Nolan. Make it rain.
This is where we got when we tried to talk about Doctor Strange again.
It is. We're excited for Doctor Strange. Obviously, it just looks crazy, doesn't it?
Sam Raimi doing another Marvel movie? Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Because despite what the internet thinks, I still think Sam Raimi is a good filmmaker.
Of course he is.
So I'm curious to see if there's going to be some like horror elements in there.
Of course there is. It's Raimi.
I mean, they had a creature in the trailer that looked like something out of Lovecraft.
Yeah, with the eyeball.
Yeah, there's going to be all kind of craziness, obviously. Yeah. I'm excited for that. I'm obviously very excited for what's coming. I'm always very excited for what's coming in the future of the MCU. And with Hawkeye, you know, coming to an end this next week, in a couple of days. However that ends is going to mean more for the street level MCU as well that we're going to get with Spider-Man.
Oh, no, I just realized now since Spider-Man would technically be out of the MCU now, like not from a making standpoint, but since everyone's forgotten who he is.
Yeah.
Could he still meet Kamala Khan? I really want him to meet Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel.
Well, there's no reason he can't meet the new characters and then be introduced to the characters he wants new. But then, like,
I just think Peter and Kamala would get on very well.
Because everyone's still aware of Spider-Man. They're just not aware that Peter exists.
I genuinely don't think that Spider-Man's going to have interactions with the people he has had interactions with already.
I think the whole point of this is like new people. Yeah,
it's going to be a whole new cast of people for him. You're going to have him with Kate Bishop and people like that.
Although I don't think this Spider-Man will work for the Daily Bugle, considering that office looks terrible.
No, I mean, look,
J. Jonah Jameson in that universe is definitely an anti-vaxxer.
I love. Yes, I love Jameson in this movie, and J.K. Simmons is back as Jameson doing full, slightly new version of Jameson. I love it. I really don't like that the Daily Bugle is not a newspaper, though.
Yeah, it's like online.
I mean, do you still buy newspapers?
I get it. Newspapers still exist, though, don't they?
Yes, to wrap fish and chips in.
Yes, but they actually still exist. They're not actually deceased things. So,
well, just in this universe, it's a different universe than the one we know. So
it is. You're right. Anyway,
can't wait for the J. Jonah episode with Joe Rogan.
Yes, I agree, Michael.
They seem like they'd get on, probably. Anyway, craziness ahead.
Yeah, Kimber's right. This J. Jonah Jameson is Alex Jones.
Probably not far off. Probably not far off. We're obviously all very excited. Did we have a singular favourite moment from Spider-Man No Way Home?
Andrew Garfield's delivery of the line Peter 3.
I did love seeing the comic accurate wavy Spider-Sense lines like we always saw in the cartoon and the comic books. That was fun. But also the Garfield redemption catch.
And that they stopped calling it a Peter Tingle, which is the dumbest name I've ever seen in a superhero movie.
And them swinging webs in the moonlight. That was amazing. So, yes.
I've already said mine. It was the awe and wonder at Tobey Maguire's natural web.
Yes.
That was
so many good moments.
That was mine. Yes.
Oh, there was a small thing I did like as well. It was a very subtle filmmaking thing, but at the end when he sees MJ and she lifts up that cut,
he's about to tell her, and then when he sees the cut,
it's kind of like, oh shit, I realize what I do hurts people.
Yeah,
it was very subtle. And like fair play to John Watts for that.
Yeah,
it's good stuff. It is good stuff. Definitely. Are we going to call this epic discussion there?
It's lasted 2 hours. Yes.
Lot to talk about. Do we want to plug anything at all? I mean, people know where we usually are. We're on the It's a Wonderful podcast feed every week. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Mondays, usually, at least. Machine Mondays is on a little holiday break while the Schmodown is itself. But Machine Mondays is, of course, coming back when the new season of Schmodown comes back. But Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we are there on the It's a Wonderful podcast feed. Find that everywhere podcasts are found, of course. We have the Patreon. It's a Wonderful podcast on Patreon. Support us over there if you want to, if you feel like that is something you would like to do. Kimber, you are, yes, that is true. Tom and Kimber are streaming the new iteration of Odd Shape Panel tonight. What time is that at, Kimber? Remind us of that so we can send everybody there. That is a show that has not existed for a few years now, and I, for one, am very excited to see Tom and Kimber bring that back. And hopefully I can get on at some point as well, even though it is, I'm probably rather late. So that's 7 p.m. Central Time in the US.
So that's 1 a.m. for us.
Is 1 a.m. for British people. Oh dear, Morgan goes to sleep.
We have one British person here. I'm a Scottish person.
It's still in Britain. But wait, it is. You can't argue with that. So shut up, Scotland.
Shut up, Scotland. Is that what you said?
Yes. It's been very fun. Nolan, you want to talk about the comedy nonsense?
The comedy nonsense. I'm glad to see you're so supportive.
I am.
Well, if you want to see any of my live comedy stuff, go check out The Glasgow Kid on YouTube. There are 3 great jokes on there. One involving the origin of James Corden, another one attempting to explain anti-vaxxers, and another one explaining why there's so many kids transitioning nowadays as opposed to before. They're very funny jokes. Enjoy that. I'm not sure if we have time for it, but I mean, I could read out one of my old comedy things that I do on It's a Wonderful Podcast.
I like that they are a staple, that they have become a staple of your main episodes, to be honest, Nolan. So I would maybe, I don't know. It depends. What do you want to do? I would suggest leaving them there as a special thing at the end of the main show, but and you've already sent people over to your things anyway.
Fair dues. I mean, I could just say one little joke from it, just a little transcript, because I don't think Janine's heard it. So, change is a beautiful thing. It's an incredibly beautiful thing. But we should remember that with every form of change comes positive and negative stuff. Cinderella, an amazing story, proved that something as beautiful as a new pair of shoes could change your life. But the latest Cinderella movie on Amazon proved that no beloved childhood story is safe from James Corden.
It's very true, though.
Yes, very true.
Very true.
Nobody
likes James Corden.
That joke goes way further and gets way darker, so I'll spare you for that.
There we go, guys.
But fuck James Corden.
Obviously. I am
and
on
with that.
Twitter at the Purple Dawn with the 3 instead of the E, because, Janine.
3 is the magic number, which this movie ended with a fun 3 is the magic number song.
It did.
Yeah, it watches the show.
It does.
Not that I know.
It's our biggest fan.
Yes, I was very upset you didn't notice that, Morgan.
I didn't even clock on. I'm just an idiot. As soon as the credits roll in a Marvel movie, that's when I turn my phone back on and wait for the mid credits. That's just what happens. Janine, all your wonderful stuff where?
You can find me at Janine Devine _ on Twitter, Janine Devine on Instagram. If you want to get any merch for any of our shows, you can find that at my TeePublic shop at g9design.teepublic.com. And if you want to get any of my art in print form, you can find that at my Big Cartel shop at g9design.bigcartel.com.
Yeah, get a shirt with my face on it.
You could.
What's that?
Yes, you could.
What did you say?
Socials.
My socials. You can find me at NolanDean27 on Twitter, Nolan Dean Writer on Instagram, the Glasgow Kid 27 on TikTok, because despite my hatred of TikTokers, I have one to deliver my comedy content now. So
I'll have to follow you.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's some funny stuff on there. And I'll be posting more clips of stand-up on there. I have been working on a routine about Marvel movie fans, like specifically the racist ones. So when I get that uploaded from my next show, I'll probably put that up there too.
There you go. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Yes,
in the chat.
thank you, everyone, for hanging out
today.
Yes.
Very nice chat today. Happy with that. You're all wonderful. We love you dearly. Until next time, which for God's sake, on a big live discussion like this is probably going to be me crying about Terry Silver.
Yes,
I mean, it is. It probably is.
Our next chat will probably definitely be on Cobra Kai.
Terry Silver is your Jared Leto.
I think he is. I just get so
both obnoxious dickheads with ponytails they shouldn't have.
Thank you for keeping that wound freshly open, Justin Square. Appreciate you.
Yeah. Thanks, Justin.
And hopefully we'll see you on that Cobra Kai discussion.
Somehow I get the feeling we will. Thanks, Justin. You're really appreciated by me. Anyway, thank you, everyone. You're all wonderful. Until next time, one big shout, everyone. Go, Web, go!
Go, Web, go! Shazam!
Bye.
Bye.